Hey, how's it going everybody? It's your boy Jubitaz, and today I'll be going over why the 5 Kage Summit was the climax of the Naruto manga. Now whether you think it's the best or not doesn't really matter much here. Personally speaking, it's one of my favorite arcs by far, but what I'm more so talking about in this context is how it fits in within the story's overall sequence. Naruto's main objective for a while was to bring Sasuke back to the Leaf, and in light of the truth about Itachi and awakening the Mangekyo Sharingan, Sasuke became completely consumed by darkness. And alongside the Akatsuki, they'd wreak havoc on the 5 Kage Summit, one that was initiated with the hope of labeling Sasuke as an infamous rogue ninja. The stakes have never been higher than they were at this point. Let me go over the bigger picture and show you guys where the 5 Kage Summit stands within the chronological order of events in Naruto, presenting you with the complete Naruto timeline from chapter 1 where we're introduced to the little knucklehead up until chapter 238 after Naruto's fight with Sasuke came to an end and Sasuke left for Orochimaru's hideout. This is essentially the first third of the series. You see, Naruto can be unofficially split into thirds. The first third is what's commonly referred to as part 1. The second third is early to mid Shippuden, and the third third is the war arc. The middle third starts when Naruto returns more than 2 years later after he's been training with Jiraiya, and includes all the Akatsuki shenanigans in between. Now, it's not universally accepted how Shippuden is divided. Some people like to group the 5 Kage Summit with the first half of Shippuden and some the war arc. However, if we look at it on the timeline, the 5 Kage Summit is actually the first arc to kickstart the third last. It's the bridge between the middle and the last thirds of the story, the aftermath of the Pain Assault, and is the root of the coming war. Of course, it's easy to classify it as still part of the first half of Shippuden due to the outrageous amount of filler in the war arc. Anyways, this is part of the reason why this arc is as crucial as it is to the story. It's the breaking point for most of the characters, and the sheer amount of tension and the domino effect that essentially caused the entire war makes it the climax of Naruto as a series. Let's go over the story and I can show you what I mean. The arc takes place after the disaster that the Leaf faced after Pain's assault, where Naruto was finally seen as a hero by the Leaf, and also where he finally came closest to understanding how Sasuke felt regarding loss. So even though he was finally acknowledged by the village, he'd been introduced to a new challenge, a philosophical question left to him by Pain. How would you tackle all that hatred? And if that wasn't enough, he learns of a decree that Sasuke was labeled a criminal and, as he would soon find out, associating with the Akatsuki, the same organization that's trying to hunt him down, the same Sasuke he's trying to save. This leaves Naruto with a spiraling depression. He was still thinking about Nagato's question, how does one tackle all that hatred? He let Karui take out her hatred of Sasuke on him, knowing that he'd heal quickly due to the Nine Tails, but no, that wasn't it. He thought that maybe if he could get a hold of the Raikage, maybe he could get him to pardon Sasuke, but it's never really that simple. Both Sasuke and the Raikage were caught up in that cycle. Sasuke wanted revenge on the Leaf, and the Raikage wanted revenge on Sasuke. They were both living proof of Nagato's philosophy. And if all that wasn't enough, the whole village was going to shits. The Hokage was still out of commission and no one knew if she'd even recover, which prompted Danzo to come out of the sewers he'd been hiding in, and he actually manages to crawl his way up to the role of acting Hokage. And to add to the tensions, the Raikage called for a 5 Kage Summit, mostly because he was salty and wanted to pout at the Kage about the Akatsuki, which meant that for the first time, we'd get to see the 5 Kage of the great villages that we'd hear so much about. Pivotal step for Naruto's world building. This adds a more serious undertone to the entire arc, and also makes it more bleak. Naruto begging the Raikage to forgive Sasuke, meanwhile Sasuke is consumed by revenge. Enter the 5 Kage. The thing that I like the most is how distant the relationship between the 5 great villages was portrayed. The Raikage is trying to act like a saint when he's probably the most selfish one out of the 5. He's just like Sasuke, consumed by his wrath. The Tsuchikage portrayed as a bitter, jaded old man that had forsaken himself. The Mizukage is sitting on the side acting all polite and innocent, but that's because she doesn't want anyone to ask about the 4th Mizukage, who they've come to believe was being controlled by the Akatsuki. The only one that's actually not corrupt amongst the 5 is the Kage, and even though he's the youngest, he still had the right mind to point out that for them to be talking about the Akatsuki now, especially since most of the members had already died and 7 of the 9-tailed beasts have already been captured, was a too little too late. And if tensions weren't running high as is, this motherfucker Danzo tries to pull the slimiest shit and coerce his way into leading the entire Shinobi Alliance. I gotta thank my man Ao, because he caught Danzo lacking. Imagine if Danzo became the leader of the Shinobi Alliance. I guess the Raikage wasn't gonna agree to the alliance then. Anyways, just when you thought that things couldn't get any messier, White Zetsu comes in basically trolling these guys and rats Sasuke out. I swear down, Zetsu and Tobi just wanna watch the world go up in flames. Let's get to the main man of this arc, Sasuke Uchiha. After learning that Danzo, the same guy that coerced Itachi into slaughtering the clan, was at the summit, he decided to crash it. He didn't care that there was a global leaders conference going on, bro was just seeing red. And he also had a new pair of eyes that he wanted to test out. And even when the Kage begin to pull up on him, he's unfazed. The Raikage's arrogance causes him to lose his arm, but even with the Kage and all their guards, they can't compare to the power of the Uchiha. Sasuke is still trying to find Danzo, and with all the other Kage stepping in, Danzo gives Sasuke the slip. I swear to God, this bitch. That doesn't matter though, since Tobi loves watching people fuck each other up. He chases Danzo, and after effortlessly dealing with his goons, he presents Sasuke with a present, and gives us one of the best fights in the entire series. Sasuke vs Danzo could be my favorite fight in the manga, from both a narrative perspective and from just how crazy it is. Plus, watching Danzo try to run away from Sasuke never gets old. I know Sasuke felt so good killing that geezer as many times as he did, but like the cockroach he is, he always came back. Sasuke realized that with all the hacks that Danzo had, he's gonna have to use his arrogance to his advantage, and traps him in a genjutsu twice. The motherfucker got 12 Sharingan, yet he couldn't see through one simple genjutsu. How pitiful. Plus, I know it's a borrowed power, but to waste such a resourceful power, like he's playing a multi-life game, Sasuke had to put his sorry ass out of commission. The narrative weight, of course, here is that Sasuke had to lose himself and completely dive into the darkness just to achieve his goal, and shows no regard for Karin, the same woman that saved his life on multiple times. He may have achieved his objective, but at what cost? And this is just the main plot. This arc got many side stories to it as well, and each adds to the overall intensity. First off, we finally learn why the Akatsuki are gathering the tailed beasts, and we finally get to hear about the Sage of the Six Paths, the 10 Tails, and the Infinite Tsukuyomi. I don't know why he'd be so blunt with the Kage. Maybe he thought that if he explained the jutsu to them, then they'd willingly hand over the 8 and 9 Tails. However, everyone's like, yeah buddy, we're not gonna do that. And then Tobi's like, you know what? Fuck y'all, I'm gonna declare the 4th Shinobi War. And later on we see Kabuto, who'd been sulking over Lord Orochimaru's death for the past 6 months. And now that he'd kinda gotten over it, he pulls up to Tobi with the entire Akatsuki as Edos, with even a 6th coffin that leaves Big Bad Tobi shitting his pants. Other than that, Killer Bee uses his missing status as an opportunity to sneak off to meet up with his rap sensei, and little does he know that Kisame's been tracking him. And even though Killer Bee was able to handle Sasuke and his goons no problem, Kisame gives him a run for his life. and steals all his chakra, leaving B flat down on the ground. You see what I mean by tensions were never higher? And that's not even the most important subplot. After the news of Sasuke's shenanigans was leaked, his old classmates gathered up to talk about what they were going to do about Sasuke, which kinda goes in parallel to the events of the Sasuke retrieval arc. The same classmates that went out on a mission to save Sasuke were now thinking about how they could stop Sasuke, where Sakura, the girl that couldn't help but crush over Sasuke, decides to take the lead in their efforts. And she decides to be the one that'll break the news to Naruto. Meanwhile, Naruto learns that even though he had sunk low, Sasuke wasn't acting out of nowhere. Tobi reveals to them the truth behind Itachi's assignment, and how that pushed Sasuke into committing what he's done. Meanwhile, Sakura can't bring herself to tell Naruto about their classmate's decision, so she decides to tell Naruto this.
I love you, Naruto.
Like, I kind of understand what was going on in her head, but did she really have to lie and say shit like that? You can see my man Yamato ready to throw hands, he can't stand it. And worst of all, she decides to go through the mission anyways without telling Naruto, which A, is stupid as hell. Sasuke just crashed and fought with the 5 Kage. You really think that your poison kunai and tuning comrades would help? They would have gotten massacred. Thank God Sai had some brains. And B, do you really think Naruto would have ever forgiven you if you had killed Sasuke behind his back? This leads us to the next reunion of Team 7, one which is somehow worse than the first one. From fighting alongside Sasuke to trying to save Sasuke to facing Sasuke. Sakura is genuinely shook that Sasuke is striking her with killer intent. I think that's when she realized that this wasn't the same Sasuke she once knew. Kakashi acknowledged that Sasuke was a victim of the circumstances, so maybe he did acknowledge what Tobi said about Itachi to be true after all. But there was no talking to that Sasuke. The damage was done. Everyone that he'd cared about had already been dead, until one comes out of nowhere. Even after he tried to kill Sakura, Naruto still acknowledged Sasuke's suffering. And people keep asking, why does Naruto go through such lengths to save Sasuke? But people don't understand, they don't see the big picture. Naruto's trying to fight the darkness that is the shinobi world. If he couldn't save Sasuke, his own friend, then how the hell is he ever gonna face the hatred out there in the shinobi world? Then Pain would have been correct. Then he'd just be part of the cycle. He needed to save Sasuke. That's why he said he couldn't become the Hokage if he couldn't save one friend. All this time, he was still thinking about Nagato's words. Of course, since Sasuke abused his eyes, his vision burnt out. Sasuke once told Naruto that when shinobi are powerful enough, they can read each other's minds by just exchanging fists. They were now literally embodying this notion. And Sasuke was relentless in his quest for vengeance against the Leaf. And Naruto remaining loyal to him meant that he wasn't there yet. He had to cut Naruto down. And Naruto as well felt like he was nowhere near tackling all the hatred in the shinobi world. But he was still determined to face Sasuke's hatred head on. So they both agreed that they'll face each other once Sasuke's vision is rejuvenated. Of course, we won't actually get to see that happen until the end of the series. And after all that, Naruto and the gang head back to the Leaf, and Sasuke leaves to have his brother's eyes implanted into him. Naruto would then go on to Turtle Island to train how to harness the Nine-Tails power. Tobi would go to collect the Rinnegan from the Hidden Rain, and the 5 Kage would prepare their troops for the 4th war. For the time being, all the conflicts were put on a brief hold. I've always seen a lot of people discredit this arc, like it's not one of the most integral arcs of the series. Anyways, it's just a little rant that I wanted to put out there. If you guys have any ideas you'd like me to tackle, then make sure you leave them in the comments. Drop a like if you want, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.